Hi, happy Sunday. I just wanted to have another quick chat while I've got the chance. And it's been on my mind for about a week now, and I've tried to do a little video, and I'm like, stop trying to do anything and just have a ramble. So I just went to the shop then, and on the front of the newspaper was like confirmation that I just want to talk about it. So it's just about suicide. And I haven't had any hugely personal experience of suicide. I've had a really good friend, work colleague, commit suicide, and that affected me massively for many different reasons. But I've never had any suicidal thoughts myself in terms of action. I think, occasionally I've thought it would be easier if I were dead, but it's not been that I've been like, so I must make myself dead, if you know what I mean. I've never had that thought or that fantasy even to escape the pain has never manifested suicide as a way out for me. It felt intuitively like a fail, and I've always had this sort of idea, potentially it's a fear, but who knows, that like you'd just be reincarnated straight back again to relearn the lessons. And sometimes I think, is that what we're actually doing, reincarnating back into our bloodlines to learn the lessons that we're here for? Like, so profoundly I feel like I've experienced my mum's life, and I've experienced my life. She's been me, I've been her, and the same with my kids, and partners and other people that you have sort of experiences with. So it's really interesting to me. But anyway, like I said, personally, my experience, a few times my mum's threatened to do something like that, in her height of depression, and I found that really hard and stressful and very fucking selfish, and it used to really, really make me really mad at her for her weakness. Now I look at things differently, but I saw the impact of the family that loved the guy who took his own life, and that was super difficult as well. Plus I felt like he tried to reach out to me and I missed the ball. My awareness was elsewhere, and could I have helped, and blah blah blah. So yeah, so I guess I've got a valid experience, just I know that people will have got much more trauma around the experience of suicide, so I don't want to forget that. I just can't speak personally from that. So anyway, now I've got that little disclosure out of the way. I hate how I have to give myself permission to talk, but I just don't want to trigger anybody for anything. It's like I'm just trying to be honest and just say what the hell I want, whatever's on my mind. So, it's been on my mind for about a week, and I've been like, why is this on my mind, because why is it on my mind? Anyway, last week I chose to watch a film, which I've still not finished yet, so I probably shouldn't be talking about, but it was called The Discovery, and it was on Netflix. And straight away it was like, ooh, I'm supposed to watch this. I don't know why, and I've still not finished it, but maybe because it sparked some thoughts. So, and there was a flat earth line slipped in there in the first few minutes, which I found really interesting as well. What they said about it, so have a look anyway if you're interested. But essentially it's about this scientist who discovers, just a sec, I'm dry mouthed. It's about this scientist who discovers proof of the afterlife, and along with that discovery, suicide rates just rocket, and there's like 4 million people and counting dying, and there's suicide pacts, and people are glamorizing it and wanting to get out of this and into the afterlife, see what's on the other side. And I was thinking to myself, maybe I'm just off the ball here, but personally I was thinking, why are they portraying that this would happen? Wouldn't it have the opposite effect? If we were to have scientific proof of the afterlife, or a general consensus that we aren't just finite, useless creatures, you know, that we are infinite divine beings which will evolve and carry on forever, and that would give your finite life on earth more more joy once you've addressed the pain, obviously, in order to learn. You know, it's like you understand the earth, life on earth, a human life is really finite and really small in comparison to a journey through infinity. And I felt like it would have the opposite effect, but maybe that's, you know, too hopeful, and maybe that's, you know, what would actually happen is that people would want an escape. And anyway, I just find that, you know, dipping down a few of these rabbit holes, or going through, you know, particularly like some segments of the truther community, there's a lot of disparity, and there's a lot of wanting to get out of here, wanting to get the fuck out of here, you know, I've had enough, what's this weird shit that's going on, you know, questioning reality. And when you think about, you know, the illusionary nature of many things, and how that fits into the fabric of the universe, and you start trying to understand things, you know, I noticed that there's big purges of resentment for their lives on earth, and it's still, I feel like it's just that final part of not quite being able to take ownership over every moment of your being in your life, and how just healing yourself by simply looking inwards, as difficult as it is, you know, paradoxical simply, but very difficult. You don't need anybody else, you don't need, it's nice to have guides and people to activate you, but really you just have to keep swishing it back inside, and don't lose yourself in the sea of craziness that's going around with everybody else's perspectives. It doesn't matter, it's not threatening yours. If you're strong in your own belief, in your truth, in your paradigm, you won't be threatened by anybody else's, or feel like you need to interweave anything, you know. It all just organically comes together when we can all just be honest with ourselves. So yeah, I just thought it would have the opposite effect. What does anyone else think? I'm not sure. I just thought, are they trying to portray this would happen because it's likely to happen, or because it's, you know, like some sort of pre-programming, you know, like, I don't know. But then, you know, when I pondered it a little bit more, I was like, well, suicide rates are massive. And again, like I said, watching that film, and then the next day I found out that this awful bear baiting chat show like Jerry Springer over in England's called Jeremy Kyle, and it's been cancelled after years on air because this guy came in, took a lie detector, failed, and he's taken his own life. And so it's been axed, and there's a lot of hypocrisy around it, I think, because there's been suicides related with other big shows which have not been axed, but at the same time that particular programme was nothing but bear baiting. And I've been one of the people who's, you know, joined in and laughed because they've got no teeth, and, you know, some of them seem pretty thick. I know that sounds judgmental, whoops, but I mean, it is judgmental. That's me, and that's something that I'm working on, you know. Judging people for their perceived intellect, you know, I've been a bit of a twat for that before. So I'm always eating humble pie, and my fucking ego is getting bashed constantly by myself, you know. So how I didn't come across as a twat then, I'm just trying to be honest. But anyway, so then it was on my periphery again about that, and I'm like, suicide, and I'm like, fucking hell, so many people are suicidal right now, and the rates are rocketing, you know, no matter whether it's shown in like a figure on a film, or if we actually look, you know, we need to look deeper. And why seemingly privileged people, I'm talking about healthy humans who have a roof over their heads and fresh food and water to eat and drink, you know, that's a huge privilege compared with some parts of the world. And we are still so depressed and traumatized, and we're holding on to so much pain that we want a way out. We just can't see the beauty of what's right in front of us. We can't feel the joy in the moment of just being alive and breathing it all in, and, you know, looking at things in awe, and wow, you know, it's just, it's really difficult to realise that although I felt like I've been really depressed for a lot of my life, I've always been aware of more in terms of spirit, I guess, you know. And some people don't know about that, and they think that we are just some happy little accidents that have evolved from monkeys in some explosion of whatever. And for me, whatever the fabric of the universe, the scenario is much more divine, and afterlife is knowledge that you just know. So you've worked on that your whole life, I guess. But yeah, I just feel like life is a test, and it's a learning ground, and it's really important. And when we really address our own shadows, I feel like I'm just selling the same fucking shit, flogging the dead horse constantly, but when we can do that, we can appreciate and we can heal, and then that can manifest on the sleeping masses, as patronising as that sounds, who in reality are in much more pain and trauma than us, because they're not aware of more, and they hurt people, and they lie or steal, or, you know, all the horrible things that are displayed in our humanities. And yeah, fucking hell, just programming and trauma, and we just need to release it. But I just feel for the masses, and I think I was thinking again, because men's suicide rates are way higher than women's, and again I was thinking again about how the rise of the feminine can emasculate the masculine, if you know what I mean, and that we as women have to be aware of that, to not tip the balance out of equilibrium, you know, in terms of revenge, I think, you know, as an energy, as a female energy, you know, it's not to overpower, it's to counteract with the masculine to produce the sort of divine, I think. But anyway, yeah, I don't ever want to trigger anyone, you know, but it's like I just want to say what I want to say. So I'm feeling like I've worked in mental health for large parts of my career and before I had kids, and so I've seen things from lots of different angles, and I sometimes think to myself, what are you doing? And I know that I'm just healing myself so I can learn the lessons to eventually put them into action somehow, or help others around me or whatever. But I sometimes think, well, if nobody does anything, like, how are things going to change? Like, I have these secret dreams of, like, bursting into hospitals, or, you know, Parliament, and having, like, a microphone and just doing, like, a 3-hour monologue about the state of the mental health crisis, and, you know, just how everything's fucked. But the part of me knows that I can't go back into the same environment, the same systems, you know, because there's so much that I can't work with, that I disagree with. Like, I have to be solo somehow at the moment, you know, and find another way to infiltrate change, because I don't agree with 90% of people that are employed in caring jobs. I don't think are caring, and I don't think they have the right energy or the right understanding of energy to be working with people that need different ways of freeing themselves. You know, I think mental health labels, it's all just a spectrum that we've boxed off because we were afraid to look at, and we've labelled people, mislabelled people, piled them with pharmaceuticals, shipped them off to care homes, ridiculed them, mocked them, burnt them at the stake, you know, whatever we haven't understood, we've just ruined, basically. And so it's unravelling and unlearning everything, and I can't, it's stressful for me to be in these environments where, like, the staff are just not right, and they're perpetuating and making things worse. Everything's misunderstood and back to front. But anyway, so while I carry on working on myself and digging through my own shit, which is way bigger than I thought, I'm just sort of feeling this sort of, we've got to have compassion for everyone around us and not continue the divide and conquer, whether that be gender, ideology, religious belief, any belief. And it's all about looking inside and finding our strength and our integrity and, you know, just being who the hell we want to be. And How to Train Your Dragon popped up in my head as well. And I know it's a film, I've not seen it, although my little boy's got a toy of Toothless, I think it's called. Sorry, I had loads of thoughts going then about my own and what I'd just said and connections. Where was I on track? How to Train a Dragon, yeah. And so, like, the dragon sort of energy, I have, like, affiliated with, like, many times. Like, I kind of see myself as a dragon in a way, you know. A friendly dragon, but, like, one with, like, power to change things, you know, in some sort of internally grandiose way, whether that's just, you know, how I live the rest of my meagre little life, you know. I affiliate with this energy, and it's because that is the shadow, you know. It's like however we exteriorize our soul's evolution and our journey and our experiences, it's all that we're facing is within, and the dragon is within, and it's how to train your dragon, the dragon inside, how to bring that energy out, and, you know, make it work, the creative energy. It's all, yeah, so... Whoa, I find so many things interesting, but I do still have to slap myself about and go, stop bothering about anything but just fucking being. Oh, bloody hell. But yeah, what a horrendous mental health crisis we've got going on, and I fear that it will get worse as this purge bubbles up and emanates and people start hearing fears about apocalyptic events or XYZ and misunderstandings of spiritual perceptions or who knows, whatever. But things are changing for the good, but we need the horrible toxicity and the darkness to be on show so it can be eradicated, and so we can help people, because yeah, that was another thing, because they're doing assisted suicides now in, I don't know if it's Canada or Norway maybe or something. And I don't mean like euthanasia for like really old people who are suffering, or, you know, people that have no use of their bodies and whatever, you know. I think we've all got the divine right to end our own lives whenever, which kind of contradicts what I'm about to say, but bear with me. So, and this is like, I read that the first person to do it was some 27-year-old girl who was bipolar or something, and she'd suffered with this, that and the other, and I'm like, fucking hell, here we are funding and assisting people to help end their lives when we've not even helped them to fucking save their lives first. It's like, that's how backwards everything is. So, blooming hell, there's so many tools and modalities, and everyone's bringing them together, but the mental health crisis is completely palpable and tangible for us to see and witness, not just on a world stage, but in, you know, people around us or whatever. You know, my poor mum and dad are so fucking stressed out and in that fear frequency, and they've been like it their whole lives, but this last week, you know, I can really see it and feel it from them, and I just wish that I could help them, but I know now that it's everybody's own responsibility to sift through their own shit and to take their own responsibility and action. And you can try and help, but you can't force, and if you force it upsets things. You just have to let things flow, and everybody's natural karma or realizations come at their own time. So anywho, just a shame, isn't it? Suicide is a awful reflection of the backwards nature of humanity and just the separateness from divinity, and let's try and help get that back. And we've all got our own little angles, and it's bloody wonderful, but you know, I'm feeling it. Must be this bloody moon energy, must be. I'm very, very heightened and sort of like working through a lot of things, but anyway. Right, I've got that off my chest now, so suicidal thoughts, pun intended, no offence meant, bye.